So for the PC enthusiasts, finally, you might remember a long time ago I made the green machine, an Antec 900, with a radiator in the front and this acrylic panel that's up. Filthy. Yeah, it doesn't get much love. The case is pretty well had it. Yeah, it could be cleaned up and refurbished and all, but there's a lot of broken parts. The upper fan's broken, a lot of little things are broken, so this is done. But the hardware inside it is not bad at all, honestly. We've got a DFI X58 chipset here. We've got an Intel i7 on it. Handmade water block by Stinger water block here. Awesome hard drive. I love this hard drive. On the damper, so you don't even hear it. Good RAM. Still one of the better radiators out there, I think. This is an awesome radiator, very efficient. Thermochill PA 230, one of the originals before they got bought out. Swift-Tech. This is the pump. This pump never dies. It's very quiet. Can't even hear it running. Got the tube res. I could make a res, but I mean this thing is just so convenient. See, I don't have the ability to make things like this, threaded tubes. So that is very, very cool. Just clamps onto the back. This is a piece of crap. This is a piece of crap. This is just going to be a blank off plate because I need a blank off plate and I don't have one. And all that's going to go into this case. It was given to me by a client some time ago. Big old Antec something or another. Some huge Antec. It's even got USB 3.0, which that motherboard doesn't even have. I cleaned it up. It's got plenty of room for hard drives. You can see you could make this into a server easy enough. A lot of room for the radiator up top. See, it's already got the ports here. It's just waiting for me to screw that pump right on there like I did on the other case. Run it exactly the same. Although there is room, no doubt, to do everything internally and not have anything showing on the outside and have a big old liquid-cooled case with everything inside. That's an option. Alright, so it's time to get on with it, man. You know, clock is ticking down and I need to get this thing back together pronto. Alright, we'll see how it goes. First things first, instead of like cable ties or whatever, because this is kind of hard tubing and I want to make sure it's really sealing up good, I'm using these pinch clamps. Pinch clamps are really handy. Use a tool to pinch them closed, and for something you're not going to open up anytime soon, it's perfect. The idea is to get these two schnozzles to line up there, which they do. So now you can see I'm ready to figure out where to put my clamps to hold this thing in place, right? Right, pump and reservoir are on and doing what they need to do. So next up, radiator. The thing you can count on when you're PC modding is that you're going to have to change directions and just change to keep the flow going. You're going to have to do things. So for instance, you'll notice the lovely fans on the top. Well, they just aren't the same spacing as the old Thermochill. That's one of the downsides of the Thermochill. It has a wide spacing. And that means it won't fit. Not only that, but there's a little power gang thing there for the fans, which I like, which is very handy. And so the obvious place to relocate is where they even have clips for it. They have clips here for fans, and so you can clip fans right to this. So it's so simple just to screw a couple fans to the radiator, and unfortunately the foam thing is on the wrong side, of course, unless I want to route the hoses all crazy, which I could make giant loops of hose everywhere, but that's not really what I want. You can see I got clearance for the motherboard, no problem. It's going to make the power cabling a little tight, but it'll also hide it somewhat, which is cool. So that's alright too. So I think that's what I'm going to end up doing. I just want to see, once I get a fan on there, it should just be just barely big enough for the motherboard to slip in, like it's meant to be. Fans on, mounted with little rubber isolators, so it should be pretty decent. Let's see if it'll snap in like I think it will before I bother with any fiddling around with wire ties and cables and stuff. The idea is that it will snap right into these little clips, which it does. So now it is secured, and I don't have to do anything. I don't have to drill any holes, don't have to do anything. Thank you, Antec. You're awesome. So I apply in to see about what I got to do with these hoses. As you can see, it's going to be a sweep up by the power supply. That's not going to be that much fun, but that's what I got to do. Got the initial lengths attached there, and gotta hope it doesn't leak. Not really liking this braided tubing, but it was what was close by. I got it at Tractor Supply, and the other tubing from Lowe's isn't much better. Got the water block mounted back on to a little Y fitting, because this is the kind where it has an inlet in the center and then 2 outlets on the side to make the flow go around the block. That's what makes it work. So it's got to be like that. I hope that doesn't leak. This is an extremely tight fit with such fat tube, which is why, again, I'm not really crazy about this tubing. And it's going to be a real struggle to get that on there. But that's what we signed up for when we wanted to water cool a PC. Alright, next up, motherboard installation. That's where I'm at 2:18, so I've been at this a couple hours, and I've managed to get the liquid cooling system installed, except I did not take into account that I'll be really blocking all my data ports. Derp! This tube is too thick, too stiff, it's got too thick of a wall. It's just ridiculous, but it's what was very close by at the Tractor Supply, so I grabbed it. Thinking I'll save some time. If I go to Lowe's and get their crappy vinyl tubing, I know it's crap, but you know, I know what it's like. It's also a lot smaller. The clamps work better on it. Everything would be a lot easier to plumb. I wouldn't have spent hours struggling with it, so I lost time struggling. Something that was easy and close by. Yay! But that's what I was able to do so far. This is gonna be a problem. You have to see what that does, if I have any right angle plugs. I was momentarily stumped, I admit, when my radiator was blocking the data outputs, but what I did was revert back to what Antec had intended, which was to snap the fans in place. Because the fans weren't spaced exactly right for the PA, they wouldn't snap in place, and so it was taking up an extra ½ inch of room. So I gained a ½ inch just by snapping the fans in place with no hardware at all, and just the radiator's just resting up against it. So it's not going to go anywhere. This isn't a LAN case. Anyway, got the data cable, got the hard drive, nice hard drive that you can't see because they hang it upside down. I don't get to look at it. Doesn't matter. So I'm going to route some cable to that and get that plugged in and just make sure everything will fit. That's mainly where I'm at now. Right, I met my deadline. It's 3:23. Gave myself about 3.5 hours to get this thing together. It's not perfect, but what the heck is that? What is that? It's a red wire. Anyway, this thing is stupid because I don't like these toolless cases, because when you mount stuff like this, but this is just a dummy plate anyway, it's not going to do anything. It doesn't do anything. It just blocks off a hole. And so that is the finished front, and there you have it. I had to take the fans off to make room for the graphics card. Yeah, that was great. Not exactly what I had in mind, but it doesn't really matter. I have to stop now anyway. Gonna run down to the bus and pick my daughter up. But you can see I got, everything connected up. I got to put the heat sink that goes outside on there. That's not a big deal. All the wiring needs to get lashed down. Antec provides nice little loops for lashing stuff down. I like it. It's very nice. You can hide everything behind this panel on that side, button it up and be done with it. Only thing I don't like is my tubing. I hate this tubing. This tubing is bugging the crap on me. If it was flexible, it would all squish in much more. As you can see, it puts a little bit of pressure on it to close the door, and I don't like putting pressure on it. But it'll eventually come to that shape and stay at that shape. The one thing I'm concerned about is that connection there in the center, because I can't get anything on it to secure it. I can't fit anything on it. There's just no room. I was thinking of just putting a regular old hose clamp on it if I could wiggle one through there, but I don't think it's going to fit. But anyway, I just had to make sure, you know, that it would actually, at this point, I know that I can get it fired up pretty quick. You know, I just wanted to do a liquid test first, run it, which means I got to find my 12-volt power supply somewhere, the one I use for running stuff, and run it in before I ever power up the motherboard. So this is the pump plug. It'll be easy to do that. Another nice thing about the Thermachill radiator is the bleed valve. So when you top this thing off, you know, when I fill this with water, you can just have like a paper towel around there, crack that thing, and it'll let all the air out. Then you can make things a little easier on the aeration process. Shouldn't be a big deal though. Alright, just wanted to show you guys the unit is running, doing everything it's supposed to do. Nice and clean now. About ready to put the side panel on. I just got to put a few more fill-in plates and I'll close it up for good, and we'll just sit there closed up and be a big black box. Alright, well, here's a last look at the thing. It's been running for quite a while now. Everything seems to be going good. Got all the fans running on high, and still very quiet. It's a very nice case. Got a lot of padding inside of it. It's got padding on both side panels. There's padding here on the front. And this part here is padded, and it seems to absorb some sound. And don't really ever have to open that for any reason anyway. Yeah, big black box. Not that exciting to look at, but you've seen what's inside of it. It's a nice rig.